What I want to share with you tonight is a bit the process that I've gone through with the Tasman Ecovillage. When I came into the project, it was quite a fair bit away. And if you don't know where the Tasman village is, Tasman Peninsula, there's about 3,000 people in this area, very beautiful. And the town of New Bina, where the Ecovillage is, has about population of 300 people. And that's the location of the Ecovillage, an old golf course. It's about 100 kilometers from Hobart, which doesn't make it easier, but it has existing facilities already. It was enacted as a motel and a cafe, so there's quite a running business. And the developer, they already had an approval for about 48 units, residential to add. And the existing zoning was commercial residential, which is a pretty good zoning. So the original thinking was, pretty much common practice. How much can we fit on a 23-acre site? That's the business area, the motel, the rooms, and then whatever we can fit in. But Ilan, the developer, had a bit more environmental conscious, and he wanted to make something a bit different. So that's basically his vision to what he envisioned initially with the Tasman village. And basically, this is one of the first approval for the site as well. He could eventually manage to put 93 lots on the 23 acres, which as a developer, is fantastic. You can maximize the site. However, if you want to make an ecovillage, if you want to make a community happen, this doesn't work. At this stage, some group members of people of interest started to gather and have some interest. And slowly, the Tasman Ecovillage Association was formed with more ecological conscious. And they thought, okay, how can we make a bit of a difference? How can we look at our planning a bit differently? So they thought the first thing, let's do a radial lots. That way we take away the idea of each one lives on their own lot and put their 6 feet fences and the hedges, and make it a bit more free and organic and see what happens. But if you can look at the contours, it's quite a complicated or diverse site, which makes it a bit more challenging at looking at the whole village as a one entity and creating that communal needs. So the association, the Teva vision, was this. Now, of course, as an eco-village, you have all the ecological credentials and necessities of water and energy and growing things and making things. But if we look closely at the important things that came from their vision and the developer vision, is the main thing that they wanted a human connection. They wanted to make a neighborly place. They wanted to have shared facilities where people can come together. And the current planning wasn't suitable for that. And they came up basically with this kind of layout, pointing it down all the areas that they want, growing food, some dams, how you access your car, goes straight into your house. Pretty nice, but still doesn't cut to the chase. Because when you want to make a a community happen, you got to look at much more things, how to make the place more walkable. Connectivity, how do you connect everything together, and especially how do you connect each of the areas into the main hub, and what would become the village greens. So they needed to think, what can we do to allow us more flexibility? So in Tasmania, community title didn't exist. So they sought out to be the first development to be approved under, they call it community development scheme. So that will allow them much more flexibility in the design and management of their site. So we had a bit of a kind of study, which ones, what can we do with each area, which one would be the common area, the shared area that everybody is responsible for. So we were able to pin down areas and call them pods, clusters, and each lot we called seeds. So you can start see distinct kind of areas that we can look at as from a social community and people point of view, and bring more social cohesion to the village. And of course, we had to look at how cars come in. I think that's the main thing, keep the cars at the periphery. So we worked on a plan on the circular road where car parks are at the periphery, the distance, how people walk, and I spent a few days on site, and we walked every seat and every location to have the feel, to measure, to see where is the best way or the place to put things. And we just imagine we took the first pod A, and just imagine, what can it be? And because we have the flexibility, the distance between the houses can be changed, but again, because we didn't have the people to allow us to design to their needs, we had to imagine, based on my conversation with some of the members and the developer, what's the best way to put it in. But then we had much flexibility for the future. And we looked at the phases of how people actually go into the clusters, where the car parks, how long they need to go through from the car park into the houses, going from the public realm into their semi-private and the private, their homes themselves. And we looked at views as well, how the houses connect to each other, what can you see from which area, looking into the common space. And eventually all this formed into the design guidelines that we put in. And again, connections are very important. You might recognize Chuck, this guy. Eventually, we got into this final kind of layout, which has much more clarity and flexibility. Roads and paths that connects everyone, large common area for recreational, future common or community house that connected into the main hub. The black ones remains kind of the commercial. All these units are now sold for quite affordable price, and people are living there. But as for future thinking, that this could be a unit that seniors can move in when they're a bit further away or can't really access their homes. Some of the more difficult areas, this can become just a village cottages, Airbnb, or whatever people want, or even just studios. You have areas when you can have workshops, but still enough area to keep kind of the natural vegetation, the creek. And this is where my job stopped. So, where from here? I don't know, because now it's up to the people to decide whether they take what we allow them to and create a great place to live in, where they can share many things and be a community, or not. So it's all up to the people. Thank you.